Hello again, everybody. It's Julia, and yes, another cup of tea. And I'm in my office today, and we're going to do some number crunching. I did a video a couple of weeks ago, and I will put the link here if you want to go back and watch it if you haven't seen it, where I was discussing retiring early. I retired at the age of 56, and comparing what I was hearing in the news headlines. The headlines were from the BBC, but they were referring to a report by the Retirement Living Standards, which was basically trying to scare us and say that 3/4 of us weren't going to have enough to live a moderate lifestyle. The moderate lifestyle, to remind you, if you haven't seen the report, for a single person was 32,700. So 3/4 of us are not going to have that money to spend post-retirement. The minimum income is 13,900. And the better news there is, I think it was like 80% of us will have enough to meet the minimum, because most of us in the UK, if we've worked, we're going to have be able to withdraw our state pension. The problem with the state pension, in my eyes, is people of my age at the moment are not able to get that until we hit 67. I think that's too old to be retired, and the age is just creeping up and up. So I was talking about, to me, the suggested income of 32,700 was a very generous income. And I know from the comments, so many of you were saying that you're not earning that working full time. And I think that's true for lots of people. And I don't think that headline should necessarily scare us or stop us from finishing paid work. However, there is a big caveat here. As I alluded to on that video, I retired at the age of 56. I do have an NHS pension, which I get every month, but I do have a comfortable amount of savings, which I acquired through saving, bonuses, etc. Plus, I had a critical illness payment that I had when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I have every month been using those savings to bring my pension up to the amount that I need to live, really. And that's kind of where I've been talking about. I wouldn't be able to live on just my NHS pension right now. I wouldn't. Added to my savings, I am also earning a little bit of money every month from social media. I've got 2 YouTube accounts and a TikTok. That income is growing, but it is very feast and famine. You can't predict it, and it is very up and down. However, as I've said before, I am looking to grow that income, because a lot of what I talk about is I wanted to leave what people call the rat race, the matrix. I wanted to leave working for someone else, for doing a job that was really sucking my soul. I wasn't enjoying it anymore. And I then tried part-time minimum wage jobs, which were okay, brought money, but I was exchanging a lot more of my time to earn a lot less. And while I was doing that, I wasn't able to invest enough time in growing my own income. And that's what I speak about now. Is I want to live a minimal, simple life, but I want to grow my income, but I want to do it on my own terms. For today's video, what I really want to talk about, again, getting quite personal, but I'm going to be sharing my monthly costs. I have done a spreadsheet, good old spreadsheet, and I want to talk about my monthly expenditure, the things that I spend, and my income, and the fact that there is a shortfall in my regular income and my monthly outgoings, which I've alluded to before, and I make that up by taking money out of my savings pot. And I want to take this opportunity to say a massive thank you to those new subscribers who've come over recently and the lovely community that we're building in the comments. Honestly, absolutely love it. As well as creating income, I feel that this is my network in the world, my sounding board. And also, I hope that by me talking about my life experiences, and the last video I did talking about my personal life, I hope that it might be helpful for some of you. And from the comments, I'm getting the impression that it is, and that's absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to share my outgoings and the amount of the monthly deficit with you. I'm going to talk about what I'm putting in my account for each item. And bearing in mind a bit of background, just to recap if you're new here, I have an NHS pension coming in every month. Very grateful for that. It is index linked and I get it every month. It never runs out. I get it till the day I die. Added to that, I also have a pension pot that I acquired while I was working in sales. I had different pensions here and there. And one of the very best things I did before I retired was gathered up all of these pots of pensions that were all over the place. And I used Pension Bee. I'm not sponsored by Pension Bee, but on a personal level, I found that to be one of the best things I did, because all my pensions are now in one pot. I have an app. I can see on a daily basis, if I want to, how that is doing, and I can manage everything on the app. Chasing around, trying to find individual pensions was an absolute nightmare, but you get a beekeeper with Pension Bee who really made that smooth. So yeah, that's where my pension pot is. I don't touch that. I'm aiming to leave that because it's growing nicely. I use my savings, and I've got various savings accounts that I'm using to shore up my shortfall until my dream is that I can create income to bridge the gap, until I get my NHS pension at the age of 67, and I am 59 now, so I've still got quite a few years of that. To go back again, just to touch on these pension standards from the retirement living standards, I'm only going to look there. Go on the website. I will put a link in the description. There is a whole lot of detail. Don't just listen to the BBC's top line information. Go on the website. There is loads of data. You can drill into how they worked out these amounts, what's included, how much pension you need, because these standards, by the way, are not on income. They are the costs for each standard. You probably need even a bit more of the income. And they also talk about different levels if you live in London, etc. So go on that website to get all the data you need for your circumstances. I'm looking at the one person suggested amounts for, there's 3 standards: minimum, moderate and comfortable. So for one person household on a minimum, it's 13,900 a year. And the minimum does not, and by the way, none of the standards have any provision for housing cost. There's no mortgage and no rent. It assumes that you own your own property. It also doesn't include money for social care, dependents or pets. And if you do have those things, obviously you need to take that into account. The one person minimum, also 13,900, does not include running a car. It is based on a free bus pass and a couple of rail journeys a year. So yeah, as I say, head to the website to check out the details. The moderate income, which is the one the BBC was shouting about, that 3/4 of us are not going to have this much, is 32,700 a year. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you my spreadsheet. I'm going to talk about my monthly bills. I've talked about the things that I pay once a year, and I have a camper van, so that's quite a significant cost. I'm going to show you how I worked out my monthly amount, how much that equates to for a year, my income, and how much that shortfall is. And also to set the scene, as I've described before, I'm currently going through a separation. We're selling the marital home. Hopefully that'll go through, cross everything, very soon. And when I get my capital from the house sale, that will be going in an account so that I can purchase a house outright at some point in the future. At the moment, here I'm living at my mother's house. My mother went into residential care a year ago, and I am currently living here while all of that's going on in the background, and until I decide whether to buy a house or not. I probably will, but these figures are based on the money that I would be spending with a house. And also, whilst I'm here, things like council tax I'm paying anyway, and bills. So yeah, this is pretty much what I would be spending on bills if I owned my own home. So I hope that helps. There's no mortgage, no rent. Yeah, let's drill into it. Okay, so first of all, I'm looking at my regular monthly bills, and I've itemised them as follows. So I pay a dental insurance, it's £33.24, and that covers my checkups, x-rays, and well, I've had a root canal done. I started this when my dentist that I'd been going to since I was a baby went private years ago. I've moved dentists a few times, but I've managed to maintain that. As you know, I do love my chat GPT. Of course, you can access AI for free, but I use mine so much for help with everything in life, including keeping a track of my social media things. I pay the £20 version a month, and it is the best employee ever. I really do rinse ChatGPT, so that's a well worth payment for me. I've rounded up all my household bills, so this includes things like council tax, water, broadband, and everything else. Obviously, that's a single person household. Now, I do pay £16.38 a month for hosting my website, which ChatGPT helped me build. It is basic. I do want to improve it, and I do really need to dedicate some more time to that. But that is, again, something that I pay for on an ongoing basis. Now, I do pay a banking fee. I'm with Monzo Bank, and I pay £17 per month. I'm just going to move the camera over here so I can see a bit better. I've only recently started doing the fee. I would have balked years ago at paying a bank fee, but it kind of pays for itself, because with this, there are a few different levels I max out. I get a couple of free treats a week, like a Greg's sausage roll, hot drink, or a big. I don't always take them up on that, but if I'm on my little travels and I pass a Greg's, then it's nice to get something free. I also get a monthly cinema ticket, odd things like that. But the main reason was included in this fee is travel insurance annually, mobile phone insurance, and breakdown cover with the RAC. So that is well worth that £17 for me. And also I get a rail card every year paid for. And I have a 2-for-1 with my daughter. So if we travel together on the train, that covered that. I do pay $12.99 for Spotify. It's my music streaming platform of choice. I've tried doing without it a few times, and every time I do, I find I need it. I pay £23 a month for my mobile phone. I paid for my mobile phone outright, so this is just for data, calls, texts. I recently upgraded. I'm with EE now. Because I was running out of data on my little camper van travels. So this £23 now includes unlimited data, all my messages and calls. So that is definitely well worth having for me. I was paying more than this, but I've downgraded my Apple storage. I pay $2.99. And I regularly, because I do quite a bit of videoing, I regularly just delete videos, etc., and I put them, or the important ones I want to keep, I put on a hard drive now. I've got a portable hard drive with me. I also have changed, because a lot of my photos were using up a lot of memory, and I've now switched to Amazon Photos, which I can store for free. A little bit inconvenient, not quite as handy as having photos on my, I mean, I got some photos on my iPhone, but I regularly delete because I've already got them stored on Apple. But yeah, well worth switching for me. I do have editing software on my Mac. I've got the Final Cut Pro, which I did used to use, but I've moved over to CapCut because I do most of my editing on my phone. For TikTok and YouTube, I use CapCut now, which is $10.99 a month. You can get a free version as well. I just quite like some of the extras I get with the paid version, and it is so easy. Honestly, I spent months learning Final Cut Pro, and really a lot of the stuff that I was finding frustrating is automatic now. I do allow £300 a month, which is a hefty amount, I agree, for a GLP-1, which I get on a private prescription. I've talked about this before on my health. I used a GLP-1, started it 2 years ago, mainly because of my health. I was the classic triangle of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, overweight, and I was pre-diabetic. I went on a GLP-1 injection, and I'm happy to say everything has come pretty much back to normal. My cholesterol's still a little bit high, and I'm fitting in clothes I haven't for a long time. And this is an investment. I wish it would be lovely to get on the NHS. I don't expect, unless you're severely overweight, I think more people should get this on the NHS. But of course the NHS is slow. I am happy to invest. It's a lot of money, and it's something I'd have to let go if my funds got I got very near the end of my savings. But for now, this is an investment in me, and yeah, I make that happily. My food. I allow $400 a month for food, which I think is quite generous for a one person. That includes eating out and takeaway. I eat out very little. If I eat out, it'll be when I am on my travels. I don't really have takeaways anymore, and I very rarely buy coffees out. I think that's a massive drain on your income. And if I'm in my camper van, I make coffees in my van, which are just lovely. I do, if I'm out traveling, I buy meal deals and things. And for my weekly food, I mainly use Gusto, and you might have seen some short videos that I do. I love Gusto. I've been using it for a couple of years. I find it works out. A lot of people don't like it, But I find it's budget friendly because I get a nice variety of food. I have very little waste. I enjoy the food. I enjoy making it. And when I share my code, a lot of people have taken me up on it, and they use my code to get money off their gusto as well. And then I get money off my next box, which honestly makes a massive difference to my budget. So yeah, and 400 also includes things like Teddy's food, toiletries, etc. So I bundle all of that in there. Fuel, I run a diesel Roma home. It's a Citroen Berlingo. I allow 100 a month for fuel. Very often I use much less than that. If I'm travelling, it may be a bit more, depends how long I'm away, but 100 is the sort of rough estimate. Now, I've got just move this up a little bit. I've got £235 here, which are all my annual bills bundled together. I've bundled them under others. I'm going to flip this over now to show you what those annual bills are. Yeah, let's have a look at my annual bills. I've got the annual amount here, and then I divide it by 12 to get my monthly amount. So my little dog Teddy has a couple of grooming sessions a year, got £120 a year for that. She's also on insulin, bless her, and she requires insulin cartridges and needles. I've allowed 500 in that. She also has cost me quite a few thousands in the last year with additional vet visits, trying to stabilise the diabetes. She isn't insured. I've never insured her, I've just paid outright. And to be fair, she's been a very healthy dog up until these last few years. So I just take the hit now. So yeah, that amount is a lot more than that. I've paid several thousands in the last year for her. This is my membership, annual membership of the Caravan and Motorhome Club. I do like to use the club sites and the affiliated sites or certificated sites. So that's £95 a year. Next, we're looking at my camper van and the costs. And obviously this is a very big percentage of my annual bills. Service, I've allowed £300 for that. I keep about £1,000 in the background for repairs in case anything's happened. Like this year I had the cam belt done, and being an older vehicle, she's 2006, I know there is going to be annual spend for things like that. Road tax, she's a diesel, she's elderly, so unfortunately it does cost £360 a year road tax. And £60 for an MOT. The insurance I pay roughly £300 per year. And I do have an Amazon Prime account. I really do use this. It's well worth the £95 a year for me, for all the deliveries I have, but also things like Amazon Video, Amazon Reading. So yeah, I'm happy to pay that. So that comes to a total of £2,830 per year, which I divided by 12, and that is where that came in my monthly spend. Just going to move the camera so you can see the whole thing. So totaling up my monthly spend is £1,671.59, which is a surprisingly large amount. My annual spend is £20,059.08, so clearly more than the minimum one person on the retirement living standards, which was £13,900 a year, as I expected. Obviously, I could cut down a lot of my income, of my spend rather, if I needed to. I could get rid of the camper van. I could eat more frugally. I could get rid of my GLP-1 prescription. So I could live on a lot less if I needed to. But like I've said before, I don't really want to live like a hermit. There are things I want to invest in. Something else that's not particularly included in here is holidays and general fun spend, buying things for the house. I try and limit what I buy, but inevitably there will be things I buy. The 20,059 is my kind of minimum spend for having the lifestyle I have. I would say there's another few thousands on there to allow for more extensive travel other than my Romy camper van adventures. So I am somewhere between the minimum and moderate costs. The moderate was 32,700, so I'm beneath that. But, you know, somewhere between the two, which is kind of where I thought I would be. So let's look at my income. It won't be any surprise to learn that my income is much less than my spend. I've already told you that, and I make up the deficit with savings. I have an NHS pension, and that is, I was only working in the NHS for 15 years, but nevertheless, I was given a lump sum as well. But this is the monthly amount which I get for life. It's £569.17. Hugely grateful. It makes such a difference to my life to know that that comes in every month. Most people who've been in the NHS much longer will have a heck of a lot more. But I'm very grateful for that. As I said, I do have a pension pot that I'm not touching at the moment. That's with Pension B. And social media income is currently bringing me in about £400 a month. As I said, that is very up and down. But that is my huge intention, is to grow my income. And that is what I am very much intending to do. So my income comes to a total of 906. Oops, you've gone off the page there. So my income, monthly income, is £969.17, which, as you can see, is nowhere near my current monthly spend. That is where my savings come into play. Also, within all of this, I've not included things like Christmas presents, birthday, meals out, special occasions, anything like that. And again, if I want to do that, that comes out of my savings as well. I just thought it would be more useful to show you the main bills and things. So it brings me up to a shortfall of £702.42 per month, which is currently coming from my savings. So yeah, that's pretty much my spreadsheet here, showing you. Yeah, it's quite nice to see it in print, really. That, you know, clearly below the suggested single person moderate income. However, my spend would be more than this because I do like to go on holidays. I like to do days out with my grandson, so it would be more than that. And I'm currently making up my spend with about £700 from savings. My goal is to drop this right down and increase my income. That is my desire. That's what I'm working on. And of course, I will keep you posted on how I'm doing that. Okay, guys, so having shared laid my financial situation bare, I'd love some feedback in the comments. What you think? Do you think I am very frugal? Do you think I am excessive? I think I'm not that frugal. I don't think I'm excessive either. I think I do live comfortably, and I'm not earning anywhere near the moderate income, by the way. However, I do like to have a comfort blanket. I don't like my savings to drop. because there are always unexpected costs. I've said to you in the past, I would like, if I had a health concern for me or my family, my immediate family, I would like to be able to get it dealt with, to go privately, to have money to do that. I know not everyone can, and I think the NHS is wonderful at doing what it does, but it inevitably comes with waits. And the waiting very often, as I found myself, when you're waiting to find out something is the worst time. When you know what it is, you can deal with it, but it's the wait. And I basically don't want to wait. So I want to have money. I want to increase my money so that I can go privately if needed. I would like, in my later years, hopefully much later years, I would like to have assets that can be sold to pay for residential care, as my mother is in residential care. She's self-funding. I know the state will look after you and pay you, but as I found myself with my mother, and I'm going to do another video on this, that was a very stressful situation, waiting for social services to assess and fund care is a situation I don't ever want to be in again. And I don't want my children to be in that situation. So I would like money to make my own choice of where I go for my care. Those are all things way off in the future. For now, I just want more money for fun. I want more money to do rail travel, trips around Europe. I want to explore, follow curiosity. As I keep saying, that is what I want to do. So I will come back to this subject on finances. I will keep you updated. As I say, at the moment I'm staying at my mother's, and I will let you know what I decide about housing in the future. And I'll keep you posted on my social media income and how that's going. So I hope this has been useful. Look forward to reading your comments. I'll see you on the next video.